Hey friends, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, back in my beautiful garage gym, because today I'm gonna be reviewing a product that I use constantly. I actually had this product as a beta version years and years ago, gave some feedback on it, on what I'd like to see changed. It's been improved since then. I have used this thing a lot of workouts. Anytime I do pulling, I often use this. I'm a big fan of it. There's definitely some things about it that I don't like. There are some options that I think you should consider as well. But after using this thing very extensively, I'm gonna give you my full breakdown on what I think about it and how it compares to other options, because ever since this has come out, there are many more options. This is the surplus strength UPS high. I'm also gonna be talking about the UPS low, also the UPS low Rhino version, and also as a little bit of a teaser, I'm gonna be talking about their stealth spotters. I will say from the very get, if you'd like to see an individual review on anything else from surplus strength, such as the stealth spotters, let me know in the comments, because we'll do it if you guys have interest. If you don't have interest, I'm not gonna spend the time on it. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, before I get started, one thing, Surplus Strength sent these products free of charge, so I give my honest take, as you'll see, or if you've been a part of our community for any length of time, I just keep it how it is. I'm a straight shooter. I'll tell you what I think about it, the good, the bad, and also the ugly. There's not a ton of ugly on this, but there is some things that I'd say are less than good. That'd be bad. Also, if you'd like to purchase any of these, we'll put links below the like button that you can check out. Those companies will pay us a small commission. Doesn't increase the price you pay, but does allow me to have more gym equipment in my garage. Okay, let's get into it. Now, before I get into the review, I want to show you exactly what this does and how it works. So here's a beautiful montage. Now, as you've seen, this thing is really, it's a pretty simple product. I mean, it really is. It's designed really for one or two things, and that is vertical pulls. It's designed really to be used as a lat pull down. It can also, you know, as a side gig, can also be used for tricep extensions. It can also be connected to their UPS low and be used for low rows. But really what it's designed for is lat pull downs, for vertical pulls. Something that is a commercial gym staple. Anybody that's working out, anybody that's lifting, they're gonna be doing some sort of lat pull down in their program. It's how you build barn door and back. It's also how you grow wings and fly away. Everybody wants big lats. You remember the guy in college walking around looking like he carried a box. Whether he had artificial lats or real lats, we don't know. But I want to be a guy that has big enough lats that I literally have to do this. In order to do that, you need to do lat pull downs. Pull-ups are nice. You can do it with just pull-ups, but lat pull downs are very nice to have. The problem being for home gym owners, if you're a home gym owner, if you're watching this, you probably recognize this. Lat pull down machines are very expensive. They may not do a lot of different things, and they take up a lot of space. So I want to say maybe 10 years ago, you started to have companies come out with options like the Spud Inc. lat pull down that used basically hardware from Home Depot. They attached their straps to it. I remember when that came out, like I bought one, I reviewed it. I loved that thing. That's what I used for a while for my lat pull down. But then companies started coming out with more bougie options. And that's what this is. This is a better version of those original versions. Now there's other competitors now. Like you have the Rogue Slinger, and I'll speak specifically to how this compares to that. Also how it compares to mounted versions like the Rep and Bells of Steel center mount lat pull down, or an individual lat pull down, because I don't want to bury the lead, but I'll talk about some of the comparables here in a little bit. But for this one specifically, it mounts on any cross member. That's really what's unique about it, is it can mount on any horizontal cross member using 1-inch or 5/8" holes, 2x3 or 3x3 uprights. Any of those you can mount this on, put pins in, and suddenly you have a way to do vertical pulls. and it does it very well. As you can see from the design, it's a very simple design. It's 27 inches in length. It has an off-centered bracket, so one side is longer than the other, and the reason that's nice is it puts the weight far enough away from you so that when you're doing lat pull downs, you can actually have a vertical pull. It's one of my favorite parts of the piece, which differs from just a standard pulley that's above, because if a pulley's above, the weight is always gonna be vertical, because that's how gravity works, it's vertical. You're not gonna be vertical, so you have to change your motion. So you're turning a lat pull down, which like an ideal lat pull down is a straight vertical pull, you're turning that into more of a horizontal pull. This allows you to have a true vertical pull and use not only the front of your rack, but also the side of your rack. And that's one of the real benefits. So long as you have a cross member and you have a little bit of space on it, I mean, this fits in a 16-inch depth, so pretty much every depth of rack that's out there, you can have a lat pull down ready to go. And that's what I think is really beneficial about this. So that's how it works. Now to the componentry. The construction on this, I mean, it is world class. It is very well done. You can tell this is a person that really is OCD, geeks out on the minor stuff, everything from the powder coat, which it comes in a red or a textured black as standard. For $60 extra, you can do basically any color under the sun. It also has stainless steel badges on the side that are laser cut, look really good. The welds and the bends are all very well done. It has UHMW plastic on the channel that could touch and have metal on metal contact. They're using stainless steel hardware throughout, so you're not gonna worry about any corrosion. They're actually welded, they say this in the thing, by a master welder, so I don't think they're actually using robotic welds on this. It's actually a real person welding the thing, which I like to support and it's cool. It's made in the USA. All of the pulleys they're using are very high quality. They have a nylon version of pulley, or if you want to do a $50 upgrade, you can get aluminum pulleys. If you're gonna buy this, just saying, I would definitely go with the aluminum pulleys. I think it's worth the 50 extra bucks. I have both, have used both. The aluminum are just much smoother. The reason you do nylon is because it's less likely to wear out the cable, but you're in a home gym, it's not gonna get a crazy amount of use. Definitely go with the aluminum. The cables are all custom cut to the length that you'd want. I mean, this is a boutique piece. It is. I mean, that's what it's really designed to be from a boutique company. It's a smaller USA made company that is really involved in the home gym community and is making really cool stuff. And this is an example. Now, I do want to say kind of how this can be used. The resistance primarily for this is a plate pin. That's really what it was designed for. So you get a plate pin, which by the way, this is one of my downsides to this piece. And I'm going to talk about this more about the value proposition, but you have to buy a plate pin. It doesn't come with it standard. You also have to buy hitch pins, another thing that's annoying and doesn't come standard, and both of those you need. But the way that most people will use this is with a plate pin, and then they'll put plates on top of that, and that's how they'll use it. Now, if you want to use this in a little bit more of a bougie way, you'd use it like I use it, and that's with the Rogue Rhino. And that's the reason I use this so much, because I mount it to a front cross member, it then cable goes down, mounts to the Rogue Rhino, and suddenly I have a very smooth, plate loaded, center mount, lat pull down that doesn't take up any space at all, still allows me to have a belt squat. And personally, I have access to any lat pull down I want. I actually have a Prime Fitness single stack over here that actually kind of collects dust because I only use the Rhino for lat pull downs. That's how much I like the UPS High. I like it better than I like the Prime Fitness. So I use this one, even though I have to set it up, I use this one more than I use that, or using the free motion for lat pull downs. So just so you're aware, if I'm doing lat pull downs, I like this piece enough that I use it on my Rhino. And that's really what I think the best setup is for this piece. This works very well for the Rogue Rhino. Anybody that has a Coop squat or anything like it, if you're wondering what that is, just search it on YouTube. It's basically a rack that I like customized. This one works for that really well, and that's how I use it. So that's the UPS High. The UPS Low, it's in my opinion, I don't like it as much. It's a way that you can do low rows with the UPS High. It works well. If you've got just a standard rack and you want to be able to do lat pull downs and low rows, I suggest it if you're going to get this piece. But I don't love the angle of it. I think the pulley is a little bit too low. It's another reason I didn't love the pulleys on the Rep Aries. I think a lot of these companies, I don't get it, why they put the pulley so low. Like, you should make the pulley higher. If you go to any really nice commercial piece, like an Atlantis or a high-end Hammer Strength, Life Fitness, something of that machine, those really nice machines, the pulley isn't like between your feet, it's up higher. Like that feels a better pull than like pulling kind of down. So I don't know, just one recommendation I would give for the low row, because I don't like the low row as much as the high row, is I would put the pulley higher. And the same goes for the Rhino attachment. They have a Rhino attachment, that is cool, and I would use more often if it allowed the pulley to be higher off the ground. The pulley's just so low, it's just a weird travel. I don't like it. So I love the UPS high, UPS low. It's okay. If you want a low row, it works and you want the full system, I get it. But I think it has some improvements more than that need to be made for the high one. Okay, now let's talk about the competition. UPS high is not the only one that's doing this. You have the Spud Ink lap pulley, or like I've made a $25 version of that thing. So if you want a really cheap one, you can make your own. It doesn't work nearly as good as this, doesn't feel nearly as good as it. I mean, sometimes they're hard to compare, but for a function, they can kind of get the job done. Then you've got the Rogue Slinger, which I think is a direct competitor to this one. This came out after the Rogue Slinger. I feel like this was basically the Rogue Slinger 2.0, because the Rogue Slinger, although is built very well, works really well, especially if you have a Rogue ecosystem, the problem is it is only parallel to the rack. It cannot be used perpendicular to the rack, and it can't be placed in the center of the rack. So you're having to use it on one upright. The upright's in front of you. The way that it attaches to weight isn't as good as the UPS high. Like if I'm trying to choose between those, just for my recommendation, I would go with the UPS high. I like the UPS high much better than I like the Rogue Slinger. And honestly, the Rogue Slinger, although it's a cool design and a cool idea, they haven't done anything with it for a while. I feel like it needs to be updated. So just my opinion. Then I really think the competition is like the center mount lat pull downs from Rep Fitness and Bells of Steel. Like that's what I think the biggest competition to this is. And one of the reasons is it plays to the value component. This thing isn't cheap. And you probably expected that because I've talked about how it's made in the USA, how it's a small company, it's using stainless steel hardware, it's really well done, it's actually welded by a person, not a machine. So all of those things should be firing things off in your head. It's like dollar sign. And that's, I mean, this thing is not cheap. So total price for just the base model with shipping to me in the Midwest, 417 bucks. Yeah, my videographer just ding. We should have a camera like on you for reactions. Cause like, I mean, that's expensive. And this is for people that are like in the industry. When you look at this thing, for how small it is, it's like 417 bucks. And I wanna be clear here, that does not include hitch pins, that does not include custom colors, that does not include aluminum pulleys, and that does not include a way to weight it. That doesn't include a plate post pin. So if you are to add hitch pins, aluminum pulleys, and a plate post pin, you're looking at 545 bucks with shipping included. So over 500 bucks for a pretty simple attachment that does work well, and generally like I'm real positive on, but it really does one thing. So then you're like, man, that's a lot of money. What else could I get for that? And that's where I think the value kind of goes down, because when you look at comparisons, you could get that, or you could get a center mount lat pull down and low row with a rear base stabilizer from Rep Fitness if you have a Rep Fitness rack, or you have one that's the same width, and that's 570 bucks with shipping. So not that big of a price difference, and you get the low row functionality, and you get guide rods, and honestly, it's just an overall, for lat pull down specifically, it's a better experience than this, although I really like this. So the value on this, I love the piece, and for how I use it on the Rogue Rhino, if you have a Coop squat, you're probably not too worried about the money you spend on your home gym because it's a pretty expensive piece. But if you have a Coop squat, I highly recommend getting one of these UPS highs. But if you're gonna use this with plates, man, I have a hard time really recommending this at the price because of the comparables. Like think about this. Titan Fitness has a plate loaded lat pull down that's standalone, has guide rods and a low row for $580 retail price with shipping included, which means with their sales, it's often around 500 bucks. So similar price as this, but it's standalone and has a low row. So it's like, man, you start to like, is it worth the price? So for me and my usage, I really like the piece. That doesn't mean there's nothing I change about it. For instance, one thing about it is it fits really tight on the cross member. I don't know if it's just my model or what, but it is really tight on the cross member. So tight, in fact, I can't just slide it over to the side when I'm not using it. I have to climb up on my rack and like hit it off and then move it over and like slam it down. Not an ideal experience. I would love to be able to slide it over. So that's one thing I'd change about it. Now, one thing of note on the tight tolerance, I'm using this on a 3x3 upright from Rogue Fitness, so it's true 3x3. It fits better and would probably be able to slide on a 70mm by 70mm rack. So that's like a Rep Fitness rack or a Titan Fitness upright, something like that. Because I'm using Rogue cross members, it's gonna be tighter on those. So just consider that. Now, one of the things that's kind of cool about this company is they don't just offer a standard cable length, which you go to Rogue Fitness, and I've seen this in the reviews on their pages for the Slinger. They offer one cable length, and people are like, it's too long, it's not long enough, it doesn't work, you know. But Rogue's a bigger manufacturer, so them cutting custom lengths for everybody that orders just doesn't make a lot of sense. Because Surplus Strength is a smaller company, they do custom lengths, which is kind of nice, but can also just be paralysis by analysis for the general consumer that's like, I don't know what length to get, and then they freak out and they don't know. So what I'd recommend is just email them. They'll tell you a length for the height of rack that you have. If you don't know the height of rack that you have, you tell them the model, they'll probably be able to figure it out because generally they're a similar height. So I would recommend if you're not OCD, don't want to measure your exact length, then just email them and they'll be able to help you. But when you look at the price, it is made so well. It really is. And I love small US manufacturing, but it's hard for me to recommend it widely when there's so many other options out there within the price point. So for many of you, I'd probably recommend a center mount lat pull down attachment from like a Bells of Steel, Rep Fitness, or some of those companies because I love those things. They work really well, have a low row, you can get really heavy with them. If you're looking for some for your Rhino, definitely recommend the UPS High. If you're looking for something with plates and don't have a lot of space but have quite a bit of money, then I think the UPS High is great. But if you want something that's a little bit cheaper, I just think there's other options that I would recommend. Okay, the other thing I just wanted to talk about and tease really quick was the Stealth Spotters. I just want to say this before I give a review. These Stealth Spotters are very well made. They're very small, they're very compact, they have a very unique system for connecting to the rack, and that's basically what I'll say. I don't want to give a full review because if you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. We can do that in the future. I will say out of every spotter arm that I've used on the market, and I've used a lot of them, these are my favorite. In fact, you can probably see they're on there right now because I actually just used them this morning. Those are my favorite spotter arms, take up the least amount of space. They're not gonna be as strong as some of the longer ones that take up more surface area on the upright, but what you lack in the strength, which I don't think most people need because you're not like dropping thousands of pounds on them, except when you like test them for a video. I don't know what kind of idiot would do that. But they're very compact so you can get them very low and they go on very quickly. And just like the UPS High, anything that I've touched made by Surplus Strength, extremely high quality. So there's my thoughts. There's my thoughts on Surplus Strength. Would you like to see anything else reviewed by them? Let me know in the comments. They've got a rack and they're coming out with some other attachments and things like that. So if you'd like to see any others, let me know in the comments, or any other small companies that you're like, Coop, we'd love to see reviews on them. I actually have quite a few products in here that are from smaller companies that we plan to review, but let me know in the comments. This has been Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.